Hello everyone, my name's Leia, welcome back to the channel, and today's video will be a flip through Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett, which I have illustrated for the past weeks or even months now. And yeah, it's my way of annotating books from time to time, so I wanted to share all the illustrations with you. So first off, this is the Fairy Loot edition of the book, which has this beautiful naked hardcover. And yeah, let's just go through the illustrations. The very first one is right here, featuring most of the books, the fictional books that are mentioned in the story, which are just non-fiction stuff about fairies and researching them. And yeah, the next illustration is right at the beginning of the story. So we have this French goblin figure that was mentioned on page 4, and then we have the, well, it's not a fairy, what's it called? It does say in here somewhere. Oh, right here, a freighter that Emily uses to get to the Norwegian island where she's researching Fae. Then a few pages later, she arrives at her destination and at the cabin that she will be living in for the time of researching all the Fae. And yeah, there are sheep, so I just draw one. And at the beginning of the next chapter, we have a matchbox and a match, because she's trying to get a fire going in there. The story should take place in winter, or over the course of winter. Maybe it starts in fall, but there's a lot of winter stuff going on, so yeah, it is cool. And that's also why I chose the colored pencil. I only have one colored pencil for all the illustrations, which is this blue color, which just fits the winter vibe. The next illustrations are right here, page 18 and 19. So we have her breakfast right here, which is mentioned in the book. Bread, cheese, I think that's tea, and these fish thingies that I forgot the name of. And then also the letter that she got and read, attached with a photograph that is also described in the book. And then the beginning of the next chapter has her camera in it, because she's going to the woods trying to find some Fae. And then just a few pages later we have this right here, again resembling all the forest vibes, and there was a squirrel in the story mentioned just shortly, and also a kind of stone. I just combined the two. Really like how it came out. And then just one page later, at the start of the next chapter, I have some bottles, because she visits the village bar to get to know all the villagers, talk to them, see what they know of Fae. And there are also some disappearances going on, so yeah, solving that kind of mystery, getting to know some interesting characters, all that kind of fun. The next chapter has her dog Shadow in it, which is with her for most of the book, appearing from time to time, and he's very precious, so yeah, I just had to draw him as well. And again, start of the next chapter has this spring in it that the main character visits from time to time, because she befriends a Fae there, and yeah, just regularly goes there. Again, next chapter, just an overview of the setting where she lives, the kind of cabin, which is mentioned in more detail right here because it's a grander estate, I guess, than I first thought it would be. And then at the end of the chapter we have this very important moment. Emily, returns from her shopping to get milk and cabbages. She also bought some other things like a carrot, but yeah, it just didn't fit into the composition that I was imagining. So yeah, something happens and she spills milk all over the floor because she's so startled. And yeah, I just had to put it in here. Love how it turned out. It's one of my favorite pictures for sure. And yeah, it's just a very important scene because she meets Wendell, who wasn't supposed to be here. And yeah, this book is pretty much about Emily and Wendell. So the first time that they meet in here was just very important in my opinion. Again, exploring woods, and there are some mushrooms mentioned just briefly, and I just love to draw mushrooms. And then there's also a nail, which does play a role in that chapter. And then the next page has all of the firewood in here, and an axe, and also a scarf. All three very important for this very chapter, and the axe will be important in a future chapter as well. And yet the firewood, just as important. It does repeatedly show up in the book. Emily is not very talented in getting firewood, but yeah, it is quite important and just fits the vibe of the book, which just feels very cozy at the beginning. And then the scarf fits the winter vibe and also was mentioned in this chapter, as I said. The next up is this little drawing in the margins, really, because we have a few stories within a story talking about fictional fae tales, folk tales. First one, the woodcutter and his cat. Just had to draw stuff that is mentioned in the story. And we have a total of 4 of these stories in this book. And I think I draw something for every single one. So, cat, of course, it's in the title. This is the drawing for the second story. 2 wolves right here. And the third drawing. Some of the things mentioned in these stories happen in the overall story plot with Emily and Wendell as well. Really love that. The tree is important, and then also the hand that I drew kind of resembled something that will happen in the future. And the 2 wolves, I think, had also 2 ravens in the story, if I'm not mistaken. Really loved that aspect of foreshadowing, but without letting the reader know that it is foreshadowing. And then the next chapter features a tree, which is also on the end papers. So yeah, that's what it looks like. Quite similar to the one on the end papers, and yeah, it's described in detail how it looks with all the fruit on it and just the oval shape of the tree and so on. So yeah, it's quite important to the story, and I do like to draw pictures on top of text from time to time. So yeah, I just did that right here. Next up we have some candles, because I think they were up at night and didn't have any kind of light, so they put the candles everywhere. But I mean, it's been months since I've read the story. I don't remember every single chapter, unfortunately. And then in this chapter, Emily and Wendell are exploring more of the country, I guess, going more into the wilderness. Provisions, sleigh, horses, all mentioned in the story. And yeah, on their journey they see a fox carrying a kind of bird. It was mentioned what kind of bird it is, but I don't remember. Just on their way, nothing really important, but I just wanted to draw a fox, really. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of Foxglove by Adeline Grace. But yeah, I do like to draw animals, although I'm not the best at drawing them. On the next page, this is how they live in this wilderness, really. And yeah, they have their tent in the snow, and then they also experience some northern lights, which were described. And yeah, just loved the setting, so I wanted to draw that. And then next up, Emily is, well, somewhere else now. This really has more fantastical aspects in it now. We got an ice crown and an ice sword right here. I really love the fantasy elements in the book. Very whimsical and dark and dangerous, and yeah, just very fairy tale-esque. So yeah, I had to draw something for it, since this is kind of the moment where it doesn't feel like just historical fiction anymore. And a few pages later again, we have some stuff like mushrooms and seashells and also lavender that I think Emily was foraging to do some kind of cooking with it. I don't remember. Was it medicine? Was it just something she was gifted? I really don't remember, but it was kind of important. Then a few pages later we have all these mirrors right here. I think these are in Wendell's room, again at this hut, cabin, estate, whatever in the village. And yeah, one of these mirrors shows a forest scene. So yeah, magical mirror right here that I just had to draw. At the end of the chapter we have this right here, because Wendell does have this hobby, kind of similar to Dumbledore, I think. Just a few pages later, one of the more brutal scenes had to depict it, and on the next page we have the two ravens that I mentioned, and also some buttons which are important, and also the lamp is mentioned. And then we also have this right here. And we're nearing the end now. This is a scene in which Emily is going to this sofa, which is described as looking like a frozen cake, I think. And she reads Wendell's journal in here. Then at the end of the chapter we have some brambleberries. And also, at the beginning of the next chapter, a honey wine glass. Very important. And then one of the last drawings I did is right here. I don't know if you can really see it. It's supposed to be an apple tart with some cream on it and also a fork. Just back to all the wholesome and cozy stuff. Food seems to be very important in this book, so yeah, I had to draw a lot of it, but it was fun. I usually don't draw a lot of food. Yeah, it was a really nice experience to draw some more like that. This is really the last chapter, with Wendell's hand holding it out to Emily, and she accepts it, and they are walking together, which is just very cute, and I love them together, so I had to draw them in some way. And then we also have the last story in this book, The Golden Ravens. So yeah, drew a spider because it is briefly mentioned in it. Not very important to the story, but I somehow like to draw spiders, so I just used the opportunity to draw one. And the very last page in the book, or the story, has a hedgehog in it. It's mentioned in the story there were 8 hedgehogs in it, but yeah, I'm not drawing 8 of them. 1 was enough. I never drew a hedgehog before, so I was kind of scared, but I did like how it turned out. One of my favorite drawings now, I think. That's the first book in the series. I don't know if I'll illustrate the second book as well. Maybe. But it did take a long time to finish this one, but I do love this copy now. Very special to me, and yeah, it just pushed me to draw some more. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you illustrate books as well. I hope I'll see you in my next video, and until then, take care, happy reading, and bye!